The question that comes to mind is normally the NFL tries to give organizations with a new head coach, new coaching staff, extra mini camps, something like that, to kind of level out the competitive advantage. The NFL has been very big on not giving anybody an advantage in getting people into the buildings earlier. Is there anything that they can do, or anything that they maybe do that you're hearing they might do, as far as allowing teams with new head coaches to start training camp earlier, to do some sort of mini camp, or are those all off the table at this point in time?
I think a lot of that is going to be really difficult because you have to collectively bargain it. You have to get the players union on board. And these guys, the hard stop for the offseason program is June 26th. And even if they were to bring players in and have a mini camp before then, that would even be later than you normally have your last mini camp in the offseason program. Usually those last few weeks are for some of the rookie initiation programs and things like that. You'd have to have the players union be willing to say, yeah, we're willing to come in, a week earlier in July. As it is right now, your veteran report date per the CBA is 47 days before your first game. So I think that puts the Browns right around July 29th. And then rookies and quarterbacks report somewhere in the neighborhood of, 5 days before that. So you're looking at maybe July 29th for a start of training camp. That's obviously not a date that's been set yet. Rookies and guys like that reporting, a few days before that. And I think it would be hard to get the players union to agree to want to give up much more time just to have an extra week of camp or something.
And it sounds like everybody that you hear is very pessimistic that they'd be able to do something before that June 26th date that you mentioned. Is that the same thing that you're hearing as well?
Yeah, and I just think, when you really kind of sit down and think about it, and the NFL has continued to kind of kick this can down the road, at some point you'll have to weigh, is it worth trying to have 90 guys fly into Cleveland for a 3-day mini camp and kind of risk, for a lot of reasons. You don't want to risk an infection or some kind of, breakout happening on a team. But that would just set the league back as well. Aside from everything else, it would just set the league back if that were to happen. There's no reason for the NFL to really push things, especially, again, if it's to have guys come in. These guys don't all live in Lakewood. They live all over the country. They'd have to travel in. You'd have a 3-day mini camp. And I just think logistically, we're getting to the point where it's not going to be worth doing that.
Is that something that the Browns have to overcome, do you think? How big of a deal is that, what they try to do? I know you hear the coaches, and they're pretty comfortable as far as what they've been able to do is in terms of installs and stuff via Zoom. How much of a difference is it that you can't physically get out on the field and put your body and move to where you want to be physically?
I think it matters. I think sometimes we can overrate kind of what teams do in the spring, and we've seen plenty of instances where teams cut their spring program short, or players don't show up to the off-season program, and they're fine during the season. But in a case with the Browns where you're really trying to not just put in a new system, but put in a system that is completely different for a lot of these guys. We always talk about the heavy personnel and the way they want to run things, the play action, the timing. So much of that, you're missing out on it. You're going to miss 10 OTA practices, 3 mini camp practices. Those are important for a new head coach. So they can do a lot of the stuff they would have done in phase 1 of the offseason program. But now that we're to the point where they are missing work on the grass and missing work out on the field and in meeting rooms, I think it does hurt this team.